In this video, I'll show you the pool or small pool that I put in my house and how I managed to do it spending the least amount of money possible, since I took care of repairing it, placing it, painting it, and even making the water filtration system. I've wanted to put a pool in my house for a long time, but I wanted it to be small because I don't have too much space, something to get in there and stay for a little while and nothing more. You could say there are two types of pools. The fiberglass ones that are already made and you just, let's say, bury them in the ground. And the concrete ones that are made on site and are usually also larger and deeper. I decided to go for the fiberglass one for two main reasons. The first one, because if you don't do the concrete ones well, they can crack. And basically, you have to redo them because the water leaks out. And the second one, because as I wanted a tiny pool, the concrete one wasn't worth it too much. I could look for one just the size I wanted. Also, lately, fiberglass pools have gained popularity because you can put wood or tiles or things like that on the edge. And the pool is all buried, and in fact, you can't even tell it's fiberglass. But well, the first thing was to get the pool, and obviously I wanted the cheapest possible. After extensive searching, I found the right sized one on Facebook's marketplace. It was quite worn, but only for $100. It was perfect. I brought it home, tied to the roof of my car, and the analysis began. Let's say this pool had not been buried, and it seems that it had also been empty or poorly painted, because the paint was just terrible. I also filled it once to see how it was, and it was also terrible there. Before proceeding with the video, let's discuss Dinomo. It's a digital investment platform, which allows you to generate extra money through trading. We'll use our account in this case. So the first thing I did was fix all the sides where I was losing. For this, I filled it, emptied it, and turned it around. In all the places that were wet, it means that I lost the water there, so I marked it with a marker to know that I had to fix it there. Once it was dry, I turned it over, and fixing it is quite easy. I used some fiberglass cloths to make the patches and to stick them on. Let's say I used the polyester resin. The way to do it is to mix the polyester resin with its activator. Everything converges there as it did in this case. 1% activator for resin that you put, but well, check because it varies with the manufacturer. So it always comes with some instructions. It becomes like a little red liquid, and we have to apply this to the broken part, which we earlier needed to sand to eliminate any leftover paint, and also to make it all smooth. Once everything is well soaked, let's say, by the resin, we put a piece of fiberglass the size of the hole we want to seal. We apply more resin on top until it becomes somewhat transparent, like all wet, and now we put another slightly larger cloth on top. We put resin again, and in the end we put another larger cloth and resin. This would create 3 layers. Done. This process would be repeated wherever there are holes. Mine had some that allowed a finger to pass through. Repeat the procedure on the inside. However, once it's dry, you have to sand it so that it is smooth and not noticeable. You can also use polyester filler if it looks ugly. Another thing I changed was the drain plug. It had a kind of makeshift water pipe with a coupling that didn't seal very well, and the water would escape. It wasn't touched lightly, I don't know. So I took it out, enlarged the hole a bit, and put this in, which is a hose connector used in inflatable or canvas pools. On the inside, where the thread is, I put a rubber O-ring to prevent the water from escaping. Now it was time to paint it, and here is where the odyssey began. First of all, the pool must be smooth and flat, well sanded, and the old paint seemed to have been either poorly painted or had been in the sun or something, because it was peeling and it all looked horrible, like all cracked or as if it were like that desert earth. And the worst thing is that I couldn't sand it with anything, because even with the electric one it took you a lifetime. I had to sand it with a belt sander and a lot of 40-grain sandpapers. And obviously, also when doing it, everything was filled with blue dust, to the point that I came out of the pool looking like some kind of smurf. But well, all sanded. I don't know why I came up with the wonderful idea of installing it and then painting it. And you will see why this was not the best of ideas. To install it, there wasn't much science to it. You had to dig a hole and you had to do it with shovels, because it's impossible for one of those excavator type machines to get into my house. First, I started by turning the pool upside down and marking with a spray can where it was going to be placed. As you can see, I also marked the edge because I wanted the edge to be buried as well. You'll see why, but if not, then subtract the width of the edge and that's it. I used a grinder to neatly cut around the pool's perimeter and then chipped away the floor. If done on the ground, this isn't necessary. I then removed the earth with shovels. Some Instagram followers suggested wetting the earth to ease removal. However, due to the earth's compact nature, we found it simpler to remove it dry. I was fortunate my girlfriend assisted in digging the hole, which measures roughly 2 by 1.5 meters. And roughly 23.62 inches deep. It took us around 3.5 days. It's worth mentioning that we worked when the sun was setting because those days it was over 40 degrees hot. And honestly, we didn't really feel like dying, so we always did it when the sun was going down. Once the hole was ready, we can put the pool in to see if it fits well, and if we see that it does, we level it. At the bottom, I threw a lot of sand and spread it around to make it level and flat. Also, the sand protects the bottom of the pool from stones or things like that could puncture it. And now we can put the pool in its final position. What I did was break up the ground a bit on the sides to fill the edges of the pool with dirt. This is much easier if you don't put it on a floor like I did, but oh well. And now I started painting it, and this was quite an odyssey. I decided to paint it with a compressor and water-based paint. The advantage of water-based paint is its ease of application and cleanup for me. I painted it with a compressor and spray paint applicator. The first coat came out perfect, but then the trouble started. Surely if you follow me on Instagram, you would have known everything, but right at that time of the year we had an uninterrupted week of rain, and as I didn't want to waste time, I decided to paint it anyway. But water was getting in, and not just water, but not only water was falling, but also mud, and it ruined the paint 3 times, imagine that. I even built a roof over the pool, but anyway the water always got in. I was so tired, so I decided to leave everything for when there are many sunny days in a row, and I painted it for the 4th time. Imagine that before painting it again, you obviously had to sand it. But well, once painted, you have to leave it without water for 10 days so that the paint dries well. And that's why I tell you that I made a mistake by placing it in. If I'd painted it and turned it over outside, it wouldn't get wet and could dry properly. However, the pool was already painted white, a color I prefer over the traditional blue. Now, I had to look into a filtering pump. The pool's small size made it easier. It holds 396 gallons, which seems a lot, but isn't. I used Google's pool liter calculator to verify this. I got a pump designed for inflatable pools with a filtering capacity of 317 gallons per hour. Perfect, because it means that in just over an hour, the water in my pool has already been filtered, cleaned, and renewed. So I just had to adapt it to the type of pool that I have. This pump takes the water from the pool, passes it through a filter, and puts it back in. But I only had one drain hole, so I needed another one where the water re-enters. So I made another hole above the one that was already there. And I put another one of the same hose connectors that I had already used. So the filter took the water from below, filtered it, and put it back in through the hole above. What you do have to make sure with these pumps is that the pump is below the water level. If not, it won't work for you because they don't have force, let's say. To install it, I built next to the pool a kind of mini machine room, placing a giant bag, and with wood, I made a kind of box. All this so that the dirt doesn't get in and end up flooding, covering, or filling with dirt. And for the bottom, I prepared a mixture of cement with 2 parts of sand and added stones. With that mixture, I made a floor for the little room, and it was perfect there. So we already had the filtration system, only one more thing was missing, the pool emptying system. At first I said, well, use one of those pumps that are used outside, and you put them in the water and they take out all the water. But they cost almost the same as I paid for the pool. So I said, hey, we're all crazy. I remembered that a while ago I found a washing machine on the street that in fact I asked on Instagram if I should bring it to my house, and of course everyone told me yes. I took the drain pump out of the washing machine and to my surprise it was working. So I said okay, then I connect the pump to the filter hose and that's it. For this I had to put a T on the filter hose. First I bought one and tried to adapt it. I melted it for adherence, but it failed. It was leaking water, and the seal was also terrible. So I designed my own T in 3D. I printed it using Wyepla filament from Rylon 3, which is the brand I always use because the quality is impeccable. As you can see, the T that I made has grooves at the ends so that a rubber ring called O-ring fits there. This creates a seal to prevent water passage. And when placing it, it fit very well. I even put clamps on all the joints to make it firm, and now yes, it no longer leaks water. Both the filter and the pump worked with 220 volts, so I installed a plug inside that little room. Currently, both items are manually plugged in for use. I plan to automate both with my home automation system, which already controls all lights, air conditioners, and televisions. But I'm gonna talk about that soon in a video dedicated specifically to that. I find it thrilling to command Alexa, empty the pool, and watch it happen. Everything was functioning. All that remained was its aesthetics. Around the pool, I built a eucalyptus wood deck. I bought 16 square meters for $100. I thought it was an excellent price. At first, I wanted to make it out of those new plastic decks, but they were like triple the price and I can't afford that right now. For that, I cut the woods to size and started screwing them around the pool. As you can see, with this deck, I covered the edges of the pool that were buried at ground level. It's great as the pool appears nestled among the woods. I really like how it looks. Additionally, I applied a varnish to the deck, which is specifically an outdoor deck varnish. And so with a light brownish tone, and it turned out spectacular. To finish, now I did clean the pool, and I can start filling it for use. And yes, I know many will tell me that summer is practically over for me. In reality, I have roughly a week of summer remaining. But since the pool is so small, my idea is also to heat it so I can use it in winter. Kind of like a homemade jacuzzi, but this was practically half the work, as the concept truly thrills me. Is the second part of this job. Another idea I've been contemplating for a while is as follows. The ability to use that pool area as a floor or as a patio. So it's not just a wasted space. Because usually where there is a pool, it's a space that when you're not in the pool, it's wasted. So I'm developing a deck system that opens by folding it with a motor and thus have a floor and pool 2 in 1, and that's how the pool was left already finished. As you see, the walls are kind of crappy because there I had like a kind of brick that looked ugly. So I took it out and now I need to cover the wall with some stones that I want to put. But well, that would also be for the next video. We also want to see if in the pool we put some mosaics, some stones, some things like that. But for that, I want to know what you think with the wall, or with the pool, or with everything. Since this is an open project, I invite you to leave your comment and we will be reading it and we will see to incorporate some of the ideas that you put and mention them in the video, obviously, but to do like of all the comments, things that can be included in the following videos. But well, that's for the next pool video, so I hope you don't miss it. Thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, maybe consider subscribing and leaving your like, and see you in the next video. Bye, all love.